to acknowledge that everyone has reviewed this slide. Please take a minute to review this. There are some trademarks and other things that are a part of this presentation, and RHONDOS is separate from those entities, so we are just presenting on the solutions today. Without further ado, I will pass it over to Mr. Mark Lemon, our Senior Director of Accounts, to get us kicked off for our agenda today.
Wonderful. Thank you, Andrew. What I want to do today is want to start off by thanking you for taking the time to learn more about SAP PowerConnect for Splunk. But before we get started, just want to share a quick roadmap for what we're going to cover today. We're going to start with some background on RHONDOS. It might be a familiar name to you, might not, but we'll make sure you understand who we are. After this presentation, want to move into certifications and motivations for Splunking SAP. We will follow that with Mr. Benjamin Dare on the call, who will take you through the use case examples. And we will also talk about RHONDOS professional services, and we'll follow it up with some Q&A. So next slide, please.
Did it go?
Wonderful. So this slide is really a quick overview of a little more about RHONDOS. For those of you who aren't familiar, we were founded by a former Splunker and have been in business for over 5 years now. RHONDOS has worked with and continues to work with some of the largest and most complex SAP organizations in the world. The reason these organizations originally chose to partner with and continue to partner with RHONDOS is because of the unique combination of technology and expertise we bring to the table. On the technology front, RHONDOS is the preferred distributor of the SAP PowerConnect solution in North America, and one of the only organizations in the world with certified expert consultants in both SAP and Splunk. Organizations that partner with RHONDOS have consistently shown drastic decreases in SAP monitoring costs, mean time to resolution, and root cause analysis of SAP performance issues, while also experiencing significant improvements in their security and compliance positions. In fact, their successes in these areas have led many of them to speak publicly about their experiences with RHONDOS. And you will see a little more of that today. And they continue to rely on us to help them navigate their ever-changing SAP landscape. Next slide, please. Great. RHONDOS is an elite Splunk partner with certified implementation services. We are accredited by SAP and Splunk, and we are close partners with cloud providers such as AWS and Azure. We offer 24/7 support and continually invest in the technology with new feature packs every 3 months, as well as developing novel apps and solutions extending the capabilities of PowerConnect. At the bottom of this slide, you can see the actual certificates issued by SAP. The next slide, please. Great. I want to just highlight here that PowerConnect is an SAP certified solution for all the latest versions of SAP for S/4HANA, S/4HANA Cloud in both Java and ABAP NetWeaver stacks. These are incredibly rigorous standards that demonstrate time and time again only well-architected solutions are allowed this credibility statement. You might be wondering, why is this important? Well, you don't violate your support agreement with SAP as a customer if you install SAP certified agents. Clients will remain compliant with their SAP maintenance agreement when using PowerConnect. We also adhere to compliance with each upgrade of SAP. Next slide. So as I mentioned earlier, PowerConnect covers ABAP, Java, and SAP Cloud. What you see here is the high-level architecture for SAP data flow into Splunk. The certified add-on extracts SAP data from the NetWeaver layer of the stack in full fidelity and in near real time. PowerConnect differentiates itself because it is built for Splunk, which means all data extracted from SAP systems are time-stamped. This data, consisting over 10,000 elements, is rolled into JSON formatted events, encrypted, and shipped to the Splunk platform. We will go through some of the out-of-the-box troubleshooting dashboards and capabilities regarding the app. Actually, Ben will cover that today. It's important to note here that the add-on takes only 30 minutes to install, and the dashboards are live within only 1 hour. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, the PowerConnect Cloud Agent is also SAP certified and supports the numerous SAP cloud properties like SuccessFactors, Ariba, and Concur, just to name a few. Next slide. So this slide covers the 5 motivations for splunking SAP. There are actually literally hundreds of use cases for PowerConnect, but typically these are the 5 pillars or categories of motivations that they fall into for a customer to Splunk their SAP environments. The first one you see is security. Security is top of mind for every organization because threat vectors are ever evolving. We're really excited about how the power play of Splunk and PowerConnect can accelerate your security posture as you mature into zero trust initiatives. By splunking SAP, you gain instant visibility into things such as login access monitoring and user behavior analytics. The next one is compliance. Compliance rules and audits are here to help, but they can catch an organization by surprise, especially when key individual contributors move on to new roles, leaving a significant gap in tribal knowledge. Data within Splunk is retained as long as you need for your use case, and the knowledge objects to visualize and report on the data do not leave when the individual leaves. User behavior and dialogue inspection are key components to upfitting the audit team with SAP data in real time. The performance use case, this is a classic and the most sought after following security implementations. The ability to quickly identify performance anomalies and tie them back to specific events drastically reduces the time required to produce an RCA. When it comes to IT, the end user communities we serve are our customers. With proactive and predictive monitoring and alerting, we're able to ensure a positive end user experience, which leads to happier and more productive employees. The most powerful part of the story, however, is the end-to-end business process monitoring and validation. Splunk is naturally excellent at hierarchical analysis and the only platform that's as agile as your complex business processes. With open and extensible visualizations, we can map any business process and automate reporting on the metrics that matter. Finally, the migration use case. Every migration needs to have baseline information to gauge performance metrics before and after the project. There's no better way to articulate an improvement in systems post-migration than with the data-driven visualizations that demonstrate it. In a world where migrations can take years, historical and robust tracking is critical to managing the deployment and meeting shareholder expectations. So at this point, I would like to turn this over to Ben Dare. Ben Dare is our sales engineer extraordinaire here at RHONDOS, and he will take us through some use case examples and the more technical aspects. So Ben, if you would, please take it away.
Thank you very much, Mark. So just a bit about me. You guys flatter me a little bit with my expertise, but yeah, I did serve 20 years as a basis administrator, worked on just about every platform there is. And based on all my experience, really kind of gives me the excitement about RHONDOS, PowerConnect, and the dashboards that we offer our customers. So with that, I will move on. So just before I jump into the use cases, I just wanted to, talk to you guys about what excites me about Splunk and PowerConnect. Typically as a basis administrator, We really just focus on SAP itself, and many of you out there know that SAP Basis is kind of the catch-all for all things IT whenever somebody reports slowness in SAP. And the reason that I like this slide is that it really shows that you're pulling data in from all over your organization, not just SAP data, but we're using real-time machine learning and predictive analytics, both in Splunk Cloud and Splunk Enterprise. So you can run this both, on-prem and manage it yourself, or there's a cloud offering to basically like a SaaS offering that Splunk will manage for you. But what this means for the Basis folks is now when there is a performance issue, you can pull data in from all of these sources, set traffic lights on dashboards, and easily identify whether the issue actually does reside inside of SAP or not. So the dashboards and use cases that I'm going to share with you today are SAP focused, but we also have an example of a customer who took in all of this data from all different sources and a success case that they shared with us and have freely offered to share with you today as well. So with that, I'm going to jump into a couple of use cases. This happens to be one of my favorites. One of the issues that can plague organizations are expiring or expiration of certificates. Certificates in SAP are used as like an SSL handshake between systems in your landscape. And before utilizing Splunk, the problem is that in order to identify certificates that might be expiring, it requires manual tasks. And if you have a large landscape, as many customers do with multiple systems, it takes a Basis admin to either log in to each and every one of those systems, go to transaction S-Trust, and dig through each one of the folders that you see here at the top left to find certificates, click on them, and check the expiration date. There is a report that you can run, but there's no reporting that comes out of that report. And again, it's manual. Somebody has to execute it, log in, check that report, and validate that nothing's going to expire soon. Another problem that people face with expired certificates, is that there is no report for Java systems such as PI. PI, as everybody knows, is critical to folks' landscape. You have certificates that you're exchanging with third-party vendors such as banks. So really making sure that certificates don't expire in these critical systems is very, very important. As anybody knows or has experienced in the past, if a certificate does expire and you lose connectivity to a system in your landscape, that is definitely a cause for Sev 1s. So the next question is, well, how can we help? Using PowerConnect and importing your data into Splunk, we give all of your certificate information in a single dashboard. We can then take that data and set alerting so that you receive alerts based on whatever time period is that you want, so that you have ample opportunity to create new certificates and get them imported to your system before there's an issue. A huge benefit of this is that it's a single source of truth. You no longer need to log into each and every system to check for your certificates. You get them all in a single dashboard with red, yellow, green lights to let you know at a single glance whether or not something requires your attention. Something else I'd like to also just note, this dashboard itself is focused on SAP certificates, but we recently had a use case that came up with a customer who was using like SFTP to exchange files with banks, and those keys also expired. And we have since developed a use case for executing OS commands via SM49 in the SAP GUI to check the status of your PGP keys as well. And we can also alert you on those. Very, very useful. Another task that, if you don't have the power of Splunk and PowerConnect, is checking the status of your clients. And by status of what I mean is, it's not uncommon in production after, it could be, after, a transport goes in, that perhaps there's manual tasks that somebody on your team needs to perform and requires that your production client be opened for changes. What that means is that, typically users create changes in development, that system is open, and when a change is generated, it creates a transport, and that transport can be moved through your landscape. When you have to open production, you don't want to create transports out of production. These are changes that have already been approved via transport. So temporarily, the client will be opened and those configuration users will go in and make the changes that they need. Unfortunately, it happens all too often where, a functional user will come tap on the basis guy's shoulder and say, I need the client open. Here's my ticket. It's been approved. Can you open it for me? Well, the problem is the follow-up doesn't occur. That functional person doesn't come back and say, hey, I finished making my changes, Mr. Basis operator. Will you go ahead and close the client? And I've personally experienced this where, a week later, somebody will come tap on my shoulder and say, hey, Ben, guess what? That we made that change last week, but we forgot to open the client. It's been open for a week. And now we really don't have any idea what's been changed. So this is, opens huge vulnerabilities for customers, both for audit compliance and also, just for consistency in their landscape. So I asked the question again, how can Splunk and PowerConnect help you? We have a single dashboard representing all of the clients and all of your systems across your entire landscape. A single place to look, not having to click on each client, find out whether it's open and has a setting that you are looking for. It's all in a single location. Not only that, we can customize the alerts that are triggered based on this information. So we have customers, for example, who want to be notified if the client was opened, whether or not it was done via a firefighter ID or an individual's their dialogue user ID. So my point of that is that this can be customized for any use case that you see fit. This makes sure that your system stays secure and there's no unapproved changes happening in production. I just want to pause because this is so powerful, I think. But, all right, next. So this use case is actually very much also focused on security, and that is SAP RFC data monitoring. As many of you may or may not know, SAP RFCs offer one of the biggest vulnerabilities for an SAP system to be exploited. There's many ways for this to happen, from users using an RFC with an associated user ID and password in the RFC who has authorizations in a remote system. They can go to SM59, double click on that RFC and automatically log into remote systems. There's also HTTP RFC destinations, which are vulnerable themselves. And so if not properly secured, also open vulnerabilities. Another thing is, those of you who maybe have seen a change to an RFC in the past, under the administration tab, it will tell you who that RFC was last updated by. The problem is it only shows you one update, whoever the last update was. And so there's really no audit trail just using the standard SAP tools, unless you have tracing enabled all the time, which offers its own risks for resource consumption, utilization, disk space, and all of that has to be managed to ensure that your system doesn't either run out of space or resources. Another potential problem with RFC data monitoring is if there is a potential hacking threat, maybe you see, a single failed RFC, but trying to track those without seeing that data in a time slice format is very difficult because you don't know the number of attacks that are happening, when they're happening, and where they're coming in. So this is where the RFC data monitors, and I apologize, I tried to cram as much as I could here. There's actually 3 slides here, or three pictures, are tremendously helpful in making sure that your system stays secure. So this big image in the back shows RFC destination changes in the last 30 days. Now that's for a single destination, and we can see, a single user multiple times that RFC was changed. So there's your audit log. You can see if somebody changed it once, perhaps changed it back, but all that information is there. Failed login RFCs, you see there's a huge spike there where, perhaps it is a hacking attempt. Why we don't typically have that many failures. So that would be a great place for all you threat hunters to start digging in. Another really valuable benefit of our RFC monitoring tools are just validating that the HTTP connections are or aren't secure. You can see whether there's a user value that's plugged in there. You can see the password, whether or not they have one, not their password, but if there is a password assigned. And there's also another option to look to see if there is a user assigned, what roles have been assigned to that RFC destination, and are those the roles that we expect? And do those roles have appropriate authorizations? So next, I'd like to talk to you guys about user geostats. This is one that really just kind of recently became hit my radar, but I think is also very powerful. So the problem is, I know there's a lot of companies, I've worked for them in the past, where maybe they're ITAR related or whatever it may be, they're trying to protect their data from leaving the country. And so management will tell you, like, you're only allowed to log into SAP in the US. So if you happen to go, to South America on vacation, management will tell you, like, we are in violation of audit if you log in from South America somewhere. So how do we track that? Is there really a way to find that out? Another way that this could be really useful is, maybe we don't have users that work out of the Congo. All of a sudden, we start seeing finance users logging in from the Congo. That's kind of a red flag, right? And then finally, this is useful for application server workload management, and I can demonstrate that here in a second for you. So this is what we can get. These are the possible views where, on the big map, you can see there's users that are logging in, looks like from the Atlanta area. And that could be normal behavior. So if we start seeing these circles pop up on these maps from areas that we don't expect, then it's kind of a red flag for us that we need to dig in and perhaps there's a security threat. I mentioned on the previous slide that, perhaps we could use this information for application server load balancing. So in the graph below, you can see users that are logging in from different areas around the world. And this is really helpful because, we could perhaps assign these users to different app servers so that they're not logging on at the same time to the same box. But just knowing what our user behavior is gives us the ability to make those types of decisions. Security hot notes. To me, this one, if you guys are using the traditional methods of logging on to the service marketplace, or now it's called SAP for me, to review security hot notes, I personally believe that the ROI that you'll get just from leveraging PowerConnect and Splunk to review security hot notes will pay for itself. Security hot notes, as you know, are critical for keeping your most important data secure. The notes are released on a monthly cadence from SAP, and they release anywhere from 10 to 20 notes in a month. So if you're not keeping on top of those notes can pile up, and the notes have to be manually reviewed inside of the marketplace to validate that they're actually relevant for the system that you're going to implement them on. So as you can imagine, if you have a large landscape consisting of different applications, ECC, BW, PI, whatever it may be, it can take a long time to review the tens of notes that are out there and which systems they are or may not be relevant for. So again, how can PowerConnect and Splunk help you? Well, we take all of that data and put it into a single dashboard. You can sort that data by the priority of the note. So you can implement your highest priority security notes first. It lets you know of the correction type, whether there's steps that need to be performed before or after note implementation, whether those are manual or done automatically. And not only that, but you can see the third column actually tells you whether or not the note is applicable for your system. Having that right there saves a huge amount of time, in my opinion. And I think that provides instant ROI based on just the time savings alone from your basis team. Another really great feature is that you'll see the first column for the SAP note is actually linked directly to the service marketplace. So, rather than just taking this note on its own, if you want to investigate more to see exactly what's being done to the system, you can click on that note number to log you into the service marketplace, and you can review the information for yourself. Hugely powerful, lots of time savings for your team, and allows them to spend other time on more important projects. So I went over a couple of use cases for you guys. I mentioned that we have specific customers who have been so excited about the technology, they wanted to share their success stories with us. This slide here represents one of our good customers, Medtronic, and they were having trouble with both their distribution centers and their manufacturing centers. So, before they implemented Splunk, they had very poor visibility into their system for order status, and it would take the regular manual steps of logging in, trying to see where the order is, validate whether or not an IDOC got sent, trying to see that the item got picked. So they implemented PowerConnect. We built this great dashboard for them that lets them see from start to finish the entire order to cash process, where the documents are in those in that workflow, and really has made them much more efficient in their operating capabilities. So again, this is a great customer for us. There's a lot of details here, but this customer actually likes us so much that they offered to give a testimonial of how this helped them. So I'm just going to go ahead and play this video. This is from Kevin Weiss.
At Medtronic, most of our U.S. distribution centers have got a 5-step process that's required before that carton ends up on the shipping truck. So what we like to do is really keep track of that and adjust the daily labor that's being used in different areas of the facility. If you've got more than a very large number of dock doors that have product being shipped out, you really do need to concentrate on where the orders need to be shipped and getting them out the door on the correct truck for obvious reasons. If we have a backup, it may be necessary by our managers on site to actually flex the labor into a desired location. One of the great ways of doing this is with a Splunk PowerConnect dashboard. As you can see here, I've actually got a representation of the facility, and there's some representation of each step in the process. At the beginning, you'll see if we have not created a delivery ticket yet, we can see really how many open orders we really need to fill. From there, we can end up creating some tickets. We can place those tickets into the warehouse and get an understanding of how many orders are open to pick on that day. After those orders have been picked, of course, we still need to pack that order. Once it's packed, we can get it on the truck. If we happen to have a bottleneck in one area or another, obviously it's possible to look into SAP. However, it's not very easy. So by having a really nice diagram, a visual on the floor, it's easy for labor on the floor and management to come together and really see how can we make sure any of those life-critical orders get out the door.
Wow, so powerful. So as I mentioned, we went over 5 use cases here. Each of those 5 use cases are essentially come from an SAP transaction code. So I covered 5 of these today. PowerConnect offers 250 out-of-the-box event types for which we can create, similar use cases for you and your customers. So this is just a small sample of some of the 250 that are out there out of the box. If you're interested at all in us, creating these for you, we'll have some information here in a minute of how you can contact us. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and pass this off to Mr. Lemon, and he will discuss with you how we offer the professional services.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ben. You're right. We've taken a lot of time today covering how the software solution works, but I think it's also important to understand how we implement the solution, also how we support it. So I wanted to take a moment here to highlight the many forms and flavors our professional services take here at RHONDOS. So what you're looking at here are, from a very high level, 3 service delivery models. Our service delivery models are all aligned to your goals. So when you decide to become a RHONDOS customer who wants to realize the powerful benefits of PowerConnect, we will start you off with a quick start here in the first bullet. This includes 2 weeks to facilitate the installation, configuration, training, and light customization of your new PowerConnect license or use case. The second bullet covers if your needs are more specific, if you have more complex challenges. This is a longer duration quick start, typically 4 to 12 weeks, and depending on your individual situation. The third point here is, of course, if you need to engage us for an extended period of time in the form of a custom scope of work, we can definitely facilitate that as well. Next slide, please. Here I want to highlight our Splunk professional services. RHONDOS is a fully accredited Splunk practice offering Splunk core implementation services, Splunk premium implementation services, for example, ITSI, enterprise security, machine learning toolkit, as well as migrating you to the Splunk cloud, We also offer Splunk administrative managed services. It bears mentioning here that all consultants at RHONDOS are cross-certified in both SAP and Splunk. In other words, when we hire a Splunker, we certify them in SAP. And when we hire someone from SAP, or I should say an SAP person, we certify them in Splunk. So this is a major differentiator when you choose to partner with RHONDOS. If you can move to the next slide, please. Great. Last, but certainly not least, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about our unique services offering designed to give our customers the ultimate in flexibility. We call it RHONDOS On Demand. So what RHONDOS On Demand is it's a block of monthly credit hours, which gets you flexible access to a RHONDOS subject matter expert for additional assistance in things like adoption, training, advice, and project management. Our customers see the value in the service, and typically they choose to include RHONDOS On Demand in their software license subscriptions right out of the gate. For example, a lot of customers don't really need 40 hours delivered straight in one calendar week. In fact, it's generally less efficient for both organizations. Getting the right stakeholders on a kickoff call that is critical to set the professional services in motion for the remainder of the time can be a terrible barrier to getting the true value, especially when bookings are several months out and this is the only week available until quarter end. We're all familiar with that. RHONDOS On Demand offers the double check process flow that our customers love. Consuming a few hours and pausing PS work until the SAP team is ready for more tends to be more manageable for the smaller but still important items like search optimization, alert policy management, extractor tuning, health checks, and administration tasks. Is your Splunk guru on holiday, or do you need ad hoc help with your Splunk Cloud administrative tasks? Just give us a call. We don't need a statement of work or procurement process. Just submit the request and we will deliver the hours. You now have access to a trusted advisor throughout the year as needed. For example, when things ramp up during quarter end and then ramp down as use cases get delivered throughout the quarter. That's the benefit of RHONDOS On Demand, our ability to deliver value periodically through the month, as opposed to an end-to-end full-time engagement. We enable your success year upon year through RHONDOS On Demand. With that, I'm going to pass it over to Ben and open it up for Q&A.
So Andrew, I know you were monitoring the questions coming. Do we have any good questions this afternoon?
We just had one come in. Let's see. Are the dashboards that come out of the box customizable?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. And one that we actually get often, 100%. So we deliver a lot of dashboards out of the box. And as Mark mentioned, when we do the implementation, those dashboards start populating within 30 minutes. And the dashboards are 100% customizable. Again, if you aren't comfortable with Splunk and creating those dashboards yourself, you're welcome to utilize RHONDOS On Demand services. Or, if you have Splunkers on staff, absolutely, you can edit our dashboards that we have, copy them, make your own. I do know that, our RHONDOS On Demand guys are creating new dashboards for customers all the time. Specifically, I'm on site this week helping a customer with their quarter and generating a new dashboard for them. Great question. Anything else?
I think that's everything. If anyone does have any questions, in the next few slides, you'll see how to contact us.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew, for teeing that up for me. If you guys are looking for zero trust frameworks for your organization, we provided a link here for LinkedIn. You can, click on that link to learn about RHONDOS or Google SAP Zero Trust, and it should be on the list there. Also, as we mentioned, we are all cross-trained on SAP and Splunk. If you come from an SAP background or looking to learn about Splunk, we've provided a list here for free Splunk training courses. I can attest to the fact myself, as I've taken a bunch of those. They are not just your run-of-the-mill intro, learn what the technology is. You can actually learn how to do SPL on those classes. It gets very deep into the free classes, which is really nice. And also, if you're curious to learn about the PowerConnect technology, we've got a link here. Or if you have, future questions or looking to dive deeper with a demo for you and your organization, you can email us at info@rondos.com. So if there's no further questions, I will thank you all very much for your attendance today and bid you adieu.